What is up, everybody? Got some updates for you. I want to just start by saying thank you to everyone for all of your prayers. If you're watching this video, thank you for watching these updates. It helps me know that you're praying for our church, gives you an update on our church. Want to talk about some really good things coming up. We're going to talk about Refuel today. We're going to talk about life groups starting up and just kind of some strategies to kind of cope with all this stuff. A little update on youth and young adult ministry, a giving update, and also looking to the future. But I promise it's not going to take that long. We're going to kind of get it in. First, I want to talk about Refuel, second Friday of every month, live outdoor worship. First one's coming up on Friday, August 14th, 7 o'clock p.m. Bring your own chair, bring dinner if you want, bring your friends. This is a chance to invite, this is a chance to have communion, this is a chance to gather together. Masks are recommended, distancing, but we are together to worship the Lord. It's so important for us to be able to do that. I'm so excited for this. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a shortened sermon. We're gonna have that teaching time. We're gonna have that time together just really to worship God. It's gonna be awesome, and I'm really excited for that. Put it on your calendar, find a way to make it there, invite other people. It's gonna be really good. The next thing is life groups have started up. If you're signed up for one, thank you for doing that. Please attend if you're signed up. You may not know, but I just got my doctorate recently, and my dissertation was actually on support. It was specifically on the support that pastors and church planters need, but it applies to everyone. We need to have these supply lines in our lives. And one of those key things that we need is not only time in the Word, time to worship, time with other people, but also that need to connect and study the Bible with other people. That's why we do life groups. Jesus was in a group. That's the way of Jesus. And often we act like, well, I can skip that, I can not do that and be fine. But what happens is, and this is 20 years of experience here, people always end up struggling, drifting, hurting, and they end up calling the pastor after months of being disconnected, and I can never answer exactly what they need, because after all those months of being disconnected, one phone call is not going to do it. Please get into a group. Please get connected. It doesn't matter if it's a Covenant Grove group or not. You need to be connected around God's Word in a way where people are praying for you, challenging you. You can pray for others and challenge others. It's so important, especially in this time. And I just want to say one more thing about that. When people say, hey, I don't feel like I need a group. I don't feel disconnected. I just feel angry, anxious, lonely, struggling, shame, all this other stuff. Those are the effects. You don't often say like, well, I just feel far from God, but you feel is that inner turmoil. As you get connected, it makes a huge difference. It's part of the support system. I talked about that last week in the sermon, about the need for three people we need in our lives, people who push us, people who pull us, and people who are those pillow people. We need that connection. Please get into a group. The majority of our church is in a group. We have almost 200 people are already signed up. If you're signed up, attend. If you're not, jump into a group. We care about you. And I just want to encourage you to advocate for your own support in that area. All right, next update I want to give you is on youth ministry, young adult ministry. Our young adult ministry for years and years was not actually part of youth ministry. It was kind of on its own, function a lot like a life group. We're going to go back to that model. It's going to look basically the same on Monday nights. They're going to start up in September. We've got some great leaders there. It's going to be exciting. That's going to be really good stuff. And then for youth ministry, we're also taking the month of August off. We'll be back in September on Wednesday night, middle school, high school combined. Got leaders involved there. I'm going to be involved there. We're really going to have the focus on the habits of life that we want our young people to get into their lives so that they can actually live those out. Your spiritual habits determine your spiritual health. And if there was ever a time to talk about the importance of spiritual habits, now is the time, because our spiritual health affects everything. So that's going to be the focus. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff in groups. We're going to be connected together. We're going to have fun together. We're going to be outside at church, distancing, all those sort of things. And of course, we're starting up a search as well. I've already gotten some names that I'm looking through. Eventually, we're going to form a little team to kind of look through that together. God's moving in exciting ways. I'm excited about the future of our youth ministry. That's a little update there. Please keep praying for us. Pray for me, because I'm not only covering all my senior pastor stuff, caring for people, but also covering media and youth ministry for right now. So pray for me, pray for good leaders to step up. And of course, we want leaders who have those habits in their lives so they can pass them on to those young people's lives. So that's huge. Giving update for July. I just want to say our people are amazing. Giving to the general fund was $49,790. Many people have made the switch to online giving. That makes a huge help, especially through the summer. The budget was $45,435, which means giving in July was over budget. Strongest month of giving in July ever, I believe. Just incredible how people are stepping up in generous ways. Thank you. You're not giving to the church, you're giving to God and God's work. You're giving through the church. And I want to say again, if you know people who are in need, especially in our church family, please ask them to come forward. The church is here to help with prayer, care, listening, groups, and finances. We have a benevolence fund. People have given above and beyond to that fund. We are ready to help people. So if you know that, let us know. We are here to care and we're here to help. Also giving to Building Hope in July is $21,597. Total so far, $683,923 towards a pledge of just over $1.1 million. We are on our way. We are continuing to give. We're working with the city to kind of get the architect and the permits and all those sort of things happen, where the driveways are going to be. Those plans are still going. And I want to just kind of wrap up the end of this with this understanding. God is doing something right now. God is actually growing people, and you can see it in our giving. You can see it in the way people are responding, but it's not just in giving. There are people who were just attenders in our church who are now jumping into life groups or serving or helping do amazing things to help people. They're stepping up, and their fire is even hotter than it was before. Doesn't mean it's easy on them. It's hard on everybody, but their fire for God is just growing. And what's happening is, even as, we can't meet on Sunday and things are changing, we're doing, again, we're doing these Friday night worship things, but even as that's happening, the fire on the inside is growing in people, and that's growing. And I see what God's doing, that He's challenging people. He's helping them look inside, see things that maybe they need to have changed, see things where they can step forward. And what's happening is that core group of people living those habits of Christ, that is growing in our church. And I believe that's the catalyst in the future that's going to help us when we get back to doors open and stuff like that. We don't know how long that's going to be. It could be a while. But as that growing happens and as God does the refining, what's going to happen is that group of people who's on fire for Jesus is going to grow even bigger and even stronger. And that's going to bless so many people. I see what the Lord's doing. In faith, I look forward and say, God is actually, why is the money still being raised for Building Hope and for the Capital Initiative and for the building? Because we still believe what God's building in people's lives and what God's building in the finances is actually going to continue to have that vision that He put on our hearts as a church, not just me, but all of us, that we're going to need a bigger facility to facilitate increased ministry to bless people's lives and draw them closer to Him. It's a hard time. It's ups and downs. Things are crazy all the time, but I see God at work. And with all of that, I want to invite you into the sermon series on Malachi. It's definitely a time, this is a book where God is challenging His people. They have tied up their faith in knots. We're going to study all the historical background on that, what was going on at the time. It's around the time of Ezra and Nehemiah. They have tied their faith up in knots, but they're blaming God for how things are. And they're asking God these questions, and God's asking them these questions back, these challenging questions. And those are going to be good questions for us too. We're going to talk about mediocrity, settling, and compromise. That's this week. We're going to talk about having godly marriages. We're going to talk about our giving. Again, our church is doing really well in that. Honoring God with what we do. And then we're going to talk about looking forward into the future. As Malachi was able to do that, we are going to be able to do that as well. That's the update for this week. That's the update for the day. Thank you all for all of your prayers. I will be sharing more about my backpacking trip. I put that online. I saved it to the end because it's personal, and some of you don't care. Some of you really do care. I had a great time and super glad to be back. Conquered Mount Whitney with my son. It was amazing, but I'm glad to be back. I'm hoping to see you online this week. We start Malachi, and I'm hoping to see you in person if you can make it August 14th. That's a Friday, 7 o'clock. God bless you. If you need anything, let us know. We are here to help.